Well, that didn't quite work out as planned, didn't it? Hello, everyone, and welcome to Global E-Commerce Experts. Welcome to our live about how to increase your sales by 80%. Yes, we're here. New technology we're using our new live setup that we're still adapting and tweaking and changing every time we seem to do this. Because I used to do this live from my desk, sat at a desk, but now I get to do it standing up, which I'm quite excited about because I much prefer standing up. So thank you very much for joining me. I'm just going to leave it a moment or two to allow people that are just joining to get online so they can just log in and everything else so we're all ready. Thank you very much for joining me. My name's Andy Hoop and we're going to be starting very, very shortly about how to increase your sales by 80%. Yes, that's right. How to increase your e-commerce sales by 80%. We're going to be giving you the tips and tricks on how to do that and really focusing on what the key strengths are for you right now, the key plays in order for you to expand and build on your brand. Now, as we've got the new setup, there's a few bits that are slightly different and slightly new. The downside is you're going to get to see me dancing around. There's the bad news. I'll try and keep myself relatively still, but the good news is you're going to see the main screen, which is actually the most important part. You can still see a couple of shadows that we're fighting with over here. Perhaps we need a new little screen, I think, but we'll work on that. Anyway, look, thank you very much for joining me. My name's Andy from Global E-Commerce Experts, and I'm going to guide you through this afternoon about how, or this morning, depending on where you are, about how you can increase your sales by 80%. And that's a massive number. Let me just give you a quick introduction so you know who I am. I'm the CEO at Global E-Commerce Experts, and I lead a team of experts in e-commerce where they successfully expand e-commerce brands into Europe. And that's across three core disciplines. We have a logistics division that does all your shipping into and out of Europe. They do all of the warehousing to store, fulfill, and look after your products. So that's our logistics division. We've also got our compliance division, where we make sure your products are compliant, your labels are compliant, your business is compliant with VAT, and everything else that comes under that to make sure your business is compliant. And then we've got growth, the team that manages your growth here in Europe. We've got Amazon account managers, we've got eBay account managers, we've got CD Discount, Frugo, OnBuy, all the rest of it that goes with it, account managers, but also your growth manager as well. Okay, so what have I done? How did I get into e-commerce? Well, really simply, I started my business 2008, 2009 financial crash. I then started flipping stuff on eBay, selling stuff on Amazon, and then I developed my e-commerce knowledge from there. In 2016, we saw a gap in the market and we developed Global E-Commerce Experts, which is now what you see today. We've expanded successfully over 2,000 sellers now into Europe. We know what we're doing. We've been doing this very well, and we understand the market implicitly, which will probably give you a guide of where we're going to be heading when we start talking about increasing your sales by 80%. So who is this webinar, this live for today? Because I think it's really important that I don't want to waste your time, and you want to make sure that you're listening to the right thing. So who is this for? This is for e-commerce brands, okay? First and foremost. Those looking to increase their turnover by 80%. Yeah, that's right, 80%, without creating any new products. And I think that's the real core thing, is because typically when we talk to e-commerce sellers, what happens is they want to grow and build their brand, they've got to create a new product. Well, you don't need to create any new products, there's the good news. Increase your chances of a bigger exit. The whole ability right now of lots of aggregators coming on the scene means that by expanding your turnover by 80%, you're going to be able to have a bigger profit margin, a bigger EBIT, which means you're going to be able to sell for a bigger multiple. And those that want to explore expanding their brand into new markets. You want to get your products in the hands of people that don't have it right now. All right, so the problem that e-commerce businesses have that are looking to increase turnover is, number one, there's a ton of opportunities out there. Where is it best placed to put your investment to grow your business? Is it better in ads? Is it better on another marketplace? Is it better by creating new products? You've got all of these opportunities that are available to you, and it's up to you to decide what's the best one for your brand. I'm just going to give you a handful of options today that you can write down and think, oh yeah, that's definitely where I want to go. You might get to the end of this and say, no, that's too much hassle for me, all right? But there's so many opportunities out there. I think that's really, really key. Now, what's the right fit? What's the wrong fit? Again, only you can make that decision. And I think the other thing is that we're going to be talking about expansions, expanding to new markets, taking your current products and expanding them into other regions of the world. Well, quite often for a lot of people, that just seems like it's a really, really difficult process for people, because when you're taking one product and you're selling it in a country that you understand, you know, and you live and everything else, that's really straightforward. You know, if you get stuck, you can go to knock on the door of your friend down the road and you're going to be able to solve the problem. Well, that becomes much more difficult when you're in another continent. When you are going to Canada, Mexico, Europe, Australia, Japan, India, United Arab Emirates, wherever you might be going, all of those places mean that, quite honestly, it makes life a lot more difficult understanding what that process looks like. You're unsure of the opportunity that's available in those regions as well, without any shadow of doubt. And then coming on to those three core things that we've labelled what we do, you have no idea about the logistics. You have no idea about the translations, the account management, and no idea about the compliance of your products in order to whether they are compliant, whether they're not, and whether your business could be have an opportunity to sell there or not. All right, I'm going to give you a couple of little client stories as we go through to give you an understanding. So one of the first ones I'm going to give you is they're a milk maker. Sales have plateaued in the US and they were looking for other avenues to be able to sell. They were selling on their website and Amazon specifically. And they launched in the UK in 2018 and then Germany and the rest of Europe shortly after. They launched their website at the beginning as well in 2018. And what they saw is that their sales got to 80% within 21 months. All right. Now, what I meant is they could able to scale and build their business bit by bit over that 2-year period from where they were when they started. I think that's really, really important that you understand that there's definitely client successes that have happened this and they've done that. All right. So why should you branch further than just expanding your brand within USA? So if you're thinking about getting to 80%, you want no extra no extra products, and you don't want any more hassle, well, you might not need any more staff either. There's another great news, business owner to business owner. That's going to help reduce your headcount, which is a great advantage. In Europe, there's 550 million people. Just facts down. 550 million people across 28 countries. Now, the first thing to say here is Europe and the European Union. They're two different things. The UK, the United Kingdom, England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales are all still part of Europe. We're still part of the same continent. What we had a little spat with Europe about was Brexit, which is where we split from the European Union, which is basically the customs union, for the want of a better word. So there's actually 27 countries in the union, plus us is 28 countries. So the ability for you to get your product in the hands of 550 million people across 28 countries is vast. Anyone that's looking to build and grow their brands will know that getting it in the hands of more people means you're going to get market dominance. If you can become the category king, that's when it's going to work really, really well. And I think it's really important to say that the success stories we see are people that are going to get to 80% of their US sales. When they expand from the US into Europe, 80% is what we look at as a success metric, if you like. Now, what happens if you don't expand your brand? I think this is a great indicative discussion, because if you don't do it, honestly, there's a whole load of things on the screen there, but the bottom line is other people are going to do it for you. You've developed this amazing product and you're selling it in your home market in the US and everyone's using it. Well, then what happens is the factory that you got it made in China has now got all of that information. They've now sold it to someone in the UK. They're going to start selling it themselves. They've created their own brand. They might even have copied your brand. And what's happening is you've lost the power to be able to do that. all right? And it's really important that when you're looking to expand your brand, it isn't necessarily about turnover every time. It's about brand protection. Time and time again, we hear about copycat brands. Quite often, the majority of them start from other regions in the world and then come into your home market. And I think for me, that's typically the biggest one that people understand and get. But the other side of that is if you don't do it, you're going to lose 80% turnover potentially. Absolutely critical. And even worse, you know, if someone does an epic job of creating a new brand here in Europe, Japan, Australia, even in China, what's going to happen is they're going to bring that brand to your home market and just destroy your brand. And that's definitely not what you're looking to do, especially after all the hard work, hard miles and hard grind that you've put into that to make that happen. So it's really, really key that in order to expand, if you don't expand, someone's going to do it for you. Now, with every story, there's two ways of doing things, isn't there? There's an easy way and there's a hard way. Well, let's talk about the hard way first. So if you wanted to expand your brand from the US into Europe, the hard way is what Ben Lecomte did, French gentleman in, I've got to look at the date because I always get it wrong, 1998. He swam across the Atlantic. Now, 3,500 miles. In order for me to get from the States to here, there are several different ways to do it, is there? You could swim. That's the hard way. You could get a cruise ship, relatively pleasant. Look out for our future cruises coming to expand whilst on a transatlantic. How epic would that be? But I'll come on to that later. Or you can fly. We're going to come on to the flying one in a little bit. But that's the hard way. The hard way is doing this all yourself. You're doing all of the, I would say leg work, but arm work in order to make this happen. And I think that's really, really key that all of the information we've got out there is there to help you and support you. So that's the hard way, is by going and doing it yourself. Let's talk about the hard way that one of our clients did, then engaged us after. They had a plateau in their US sales. They launched on a full Pan-EU program. Well, if you don't understand what Pan-EU is, basically it's having your business compliant in every region across Europe almost in 2018. But then their sales were really slow because they spent all their money on business compliance, VAT, being VAT registered in all these countries. Now then what happened is they had no money left to invest in the stock and the ads of the product. So it took them years, basically. They contacted us 3 years after. We already did their VAT, but we didn't do some of their other key pieces, their Amazon account management, their logistics. We didn't help them give the consultancy with our growth manager in order to help them to expand. All right. They then engaged us. We've now got them to 40% of their US sales, but sales velocity is key. You know that. Sales velocity is one of the most important parts. And if you don't get that from day one, clawing that back becomes really, really difficult. That's the hard way. The hard way is doing this all by yourself. Now, just so we're clear, I'm not trying to sell you here all of the information, do it all. I mean, hey, look, we do it all. We'd love to support you. But the bottom line is you can go and do this yourself without any shadow of a doubt. But we're here to show you what that looks like. So there's an easier way. Of course there is. Global E-commerce Experts is here to successfully expand e-commerce brands. That's what we do. We're a service-based business where we serve you to give you the services you need to successfully expand into Europe. Now, if I just give you a little bit about how that started. First of all, we started solving the problem because overseas sellers needed VAT. So that's what we did. We did VAT and we started solving that problem for our clients. Then what happened is our clients come and said, hey, I need someone to look after my stock. I need to send a container in. I need to get it unloaded. I need to do some returns, some removal orders, whatever it looked like. I need a warehouse. So we went and got a warehouse. We've got to make that happen for our clients. Then it was label compliance. Then it was shipping. Then it was account management. Then it was translations. And the list goes on. And basically, I'm a bit of a problem solver. I am an entrepreneur. I love serving people. And what happened is that when someone comes to me with a problem, I've got to solve it to make it happen. I've got a shiny object syndrome. And as an entrepreneur, you'll understand this. But instead of going off and doing something different, what I'm doing is I'm bringing it in to support you and serve you. And that's what's really, really key, is what we've managed to do is create a complete turnkey solution where when you expand into Europe, you need just one partner. Yeah, that's right, one partner. You don't need 20 different agencies, 20 different service providers. You need just one. Now, what we've been able to do, having worked with over 2,000 sellers now, is identify in all those different service lines what works and what doesn't. We get to see the data, we see the insights, we see firsthand what it takes to successfully expand into Europe. And that's what makes us really, really key. So when you say, well, Andy, how do I get to 80%? I know we can get you to 80% because we got the data. I've got the data, I know how to do it, our team knows how to do it, and we can give you the strategy and the tactics in order to make that happen. Now, the other thing to say is there's endless free content out there that we've produced to support and help you. So with that, let me give you a little story about that success. So what we did is this client had a fast growing product and they really wanted to reach a global audience very, very quickly. So what we did is we have something what we'd call a golden ticket. Willy Wonka's here. I'm not going to embarrass them by saying who they are, but you'll get to find Willy Wonka within our team. And the idea of that is that when you come to us, you can have everything under one roof to make it really, really simple. We launched this client in 2021. We did everything under one roof and we got them to 80% of their US sales in 13 months. Yes, 13 months. Now, if you're sat at home today or in your office thinking, how am I going to grow my brand this year? Well, look, the compelling story is really straightforward. Taking your current products and expanding them is critical. Now, you might be thinking you've got overstock. And overstock is really, really key because what happens is we've had this whole crisis beginning with C. You've all known it, you've all seen it. Then what happened is the whole logistics network got absolutely screwed. So what happened was you've ordered more stock than you need and you've got less sales than you're expecting because e-commerce sales have come down. And what means is you've got a bit of overstock. Now with that overstock, what better way to utilize and capitalize that than to take that stock and put that into a new region of the world to see if you can sell those products there. This client did exactly that. Got to 80% in 13 months. Yes, 13 months. Now, having worked with over 2,000 sellers, what it's managed us to do is create a really solid framework, a success pathway, if you like, about how you can successfully expand. Now, these are our 7 standard steps that if you go and look at our content on our podcast or our YouTube channel, you're going to be able to find out a huge amount of information on all of those. In fact, we do a webinar on all of these every week where we dissect that information and go into more deep detail about what it actually means. So let me just guide you through that. First one's market research. Make sure your product can be sold in that region. You're going to make some cash, number 1. Number 2, make sure you're compliant, your business and your product. Number 3, launch on the marketplaces. Get your product launched on the right marketplace for you. Number 4, logistics. Make sure you can ship your products into the country, do the customs and fulfill into the network that you need, be that B2B or B2C. And then you start moving into the more nitty gritty. Got to promote your products. If you don't promote your products, you're not going to sell them. Fact. So how do you promote them? What's the right promotional opportunities for you? And then we move into the last 2, which is much more higher end. That's websites or other marketplaces to expand your brand and expand your reach into other countries and other marketplaces. And the last thing is really growth and scale, looking towards your exit. So they're the 7 basic steps, really, really key. Now, if you're at home, you're in that office, you're sat down, you're sat there thinking there's a recession looming, all of these negative words we hear, and we hear them a lot, yeah? Don't worry about that. Don't focus on the things you can't control. A great mentor of mine once said, control the controllables, okay? That's what you have to do. What can you control in your business today, yeah? One of those things is to get to 80% of the same stock by expanding it to a new market, a new region of the world. It's really easy, it's really straightforward. What you've got to look at is, how do I make this process simple and easy? Everyone's going to have a different opinion. My answer would be all of the content's out there that we do, go get it, go dive on it, go make that happen. Because there's two types of people, right? There's people that are sat there now thinking, I've got money, but I don't have time. Or people have got time and no money to invest. That's absolutely fine, okay? What I would say is if you're sat there today and you can't control those things, right? You can't control the recession. What you can control is the action you take today. You can control the action and the strategy and tactics you deploy in your business to get you to the next level. And that's critical. One of those decisions should be to expand your brand into a new market. So if you have the time but you don't have the money to invest, no problem. Go and consume all of the content that we have provided on YouTube, in the podcast, to help you to look at all of the opportunities that are available to you. I think the last time we looked, there was about 200 videos on YouTube for you to go away and consume, to look at everything we've done, to see what you can do to actively expand your brand. No problems, go make that happen. If you're coming from the other side, you don't have the time, but you do have the investment, really good news is we can do that for you and make sure that's all done under one roof and to make that simple and easy. Now, that's your decision. Remember, control the controllables. What can you control? If we come into a recession, if we have a recession, if the economy declines, if e-commerce sales decrease, some of those things you cannot control. But what you can control is who you get your products to, the reach you have to a global audience. Now I'm going to open up for some questions. So please start putting some questions in, and I'm just going to move so I can see the questions come through into the comments to see what comes up, because I think that the questions are quite often useful for lots of different people. Okay, all right, so the first few questions are coming in. First one is, I don't think my products are compliant. What can I do about that? Okay, great. So really straightforward. Product compliance comes in three areas. For your products, you need to understand the regulation your product falls under, one. Secondly, is the product compliant with that or those regulations? And thirdly, is the label compliant with the product and the regulations? They're the three things you need to consider. Now, you can go and have a look at all the EU regulations and the UK regulations to see if that works. Now, you can go away and have a look at all of that, and you've just got to research European regulations under food or electrical, whatever that might be. If you're thinking that, okay, I can't do that, it's a bit too complicated, totally understand. We've got a team of compliance experts that can tell you whether your product's going to be able to be sold or not. Three different levels. You've got a brand review or a product review. We can have a look at an overview to see if your products might be sold, or a deep dive into the products more nitty-gritty. So that's a great one. If you're not sure, then ask us. We can support and help with that. But they're the three things you need to look at. What regulations they fall under? Is the product compliant with those regulations? Is the label compliant with those regulations? Okay, next one. Great one. VAT. What is that? I heard you talk about it. What does that mean? Okay, VAT, value added tax. VAT is basically sales tax here in Europe. And the bottom line is that wherever you sell a product, quite honestly, if you're going to sell it in the UK, Germany, France, wherever it might be, the government wants to thank you for you selling the product there. That's it. You're selling your product in their country and they want some tax as a thank you. That's it. Think of it a bit like Nexus, where you've got 50 odd states where it's all different. Well, Europe's a little bit like that. So every country is slightly different, but they all follow a similar model. Basically, if you're fulfilling a product or you're shipping a product into or out of a country, you probably need to pay some VAT somewhere along the line. Now, it's a bit more complicated than that, hence why you need some experts to look at that for you that have got that accounting expertise for e-commerce sellers. But in a nutshell, really focus on, for your VAT, wherever you're fulfilling, you need to pay VAT. Good. Okay. Another question. I'm going to take a couple more questions before we move on. So make sure you're getting your questions in so I can see them and make sure I'm getting them out there. Okay. Next one, how long does it take in order to expand? Great one. Typically, in order to expand, we can do it in 14 days. So we could get you all set up and selling here in Europe in 14 days, depending on a whole load of factors, all right? But if you've got products ready to go and you've got an Amazon store, if you're selling on Amazon, set up, then we could probably do it quicker than that. But 14 days is a great starting point. If you've got a Shopify store, a website that you're selling on, to switch that to a new domain, .co.uk, .de, .fr, relatively straightforward, can happen relatively quickly. Getting you set up to sell, hell, we could do that in 7 days. But if you allow 14 days is typically what we do for VAT registration, shipments and everything else, all right? So 14 days is a great way to go. Okay, I'm not going to take any more questions. I'm going to move on to the last slide, and that is to thank you for attending. Thank you for giving up your valuable time to listen to what you can do to increase your sales by 80%. Really, really straightforward. If you're looking for a bit more information, really good, go to our website, global-commerceexperts.com/webinar. And there you'll be able to find out, download our ebook on how to expand, but also get in contact if you want more information from our success managers about how you can expand. That's it from me. My name's Andy Hu from Global E-Commerce Experts, here to successfully expand you and your e-commerce brand into Europe. Have a great day and take care of yourselves. Thank you very much.